Well, politicians just don't understand. Young Americans represent 1/4 of the nation's voting public, but neither the left nor the right have figured out a way to secure their votes. Kayleigh McEnany joins us from Miami. Both sides, Kayleigh, spending a whole lot of money, but not getting much back in return.
That's right, Charles. The left and the right together spend about $100 million per year trying to court the millennial vote. But as Ben Schreckinger pointed out at Politico, neither side understands millennials. And you look, Democrats in particular, who had a 20-point lead among party identification in 2009 with millennials, has now dissipated that lead to 6 points. Meanwhile, you have these libertarian groups like Young Americans for Liberty who have seen their membership grow from non-existence at the grassroots level all the way up to 162,000 members, 7,000 of which pay $8 a month in order to be a member. So they're forgoing 4 to 8 beers, depending on which bar they go to, in order to be part of a libertarian organization. So we're seeing a lot of fuel, a lot of energy there. Are we
talking about the inability to just sell a product, in this case an ideology, or the fact is that this ideology does not match the potential consumer at all?
I think it's the ideology not matching the consumer, because without fail, when I talk to young people, and I say probably 90% of the time, I'll say, you know, what are your political views? They say to me, I'm socially liberal, but I'm fiscally conservative. And I say, oh, so you're a libertarian. And they say, I don't know if I'm a libertarian, but they are, in fact, libertarians. That's where their ideology fits. But 1/3 of millennials don't even know what it means to be a libertarian. So I think there's real room, as we saw with Ron Paul and the fuel he had in 2008, to capitalize on that and bring these voters into the Libertarian Party and, by proxy, bring them into the Republican Party.
Kayleigh, this is Sandra Smith. We were just running a banner that said that the $100 million a year is spent on advertising targeting millennials. But obviously, we're here talking about how that's not effective. What would be the most effective message to reach out as far as ad campaigns are concerned, since we are spending so much money every year on this?
If you can put forth a message, get the government out of the way, move it aside, opt out of Obamacare, government out of our lives, that is a very effective message, and one that millennials will glom onto, I believe. Bring this message to campuses. Rand Paul went to Howard University, made inroads in a university where, you know, Republicans typically avoid. Go to the campuses and bring this message, get the government out of the way, leave us alone, and let us live our lives. I think that a lot of fuel could come from that.
You know, I do find it interesting because the Democrats fancy themselves to be hip, whereas the GOP, you know, they might throw Pat Boone up there for a commercial on MTV. You know, but how come the Democrats are having such trouble?
Well, it's backfired on them. You see some of these grassroots organizations, Democratic organizations, trying to get millennials to sign up for Obamacare, but what they're putting out is this image of millennials doing keg stands. Come, be a bro, sign up for bro insurance.
What about the dude with the cup in a pajama? I mean, come on, what young man out there is identifying with this guy? I mean, come on, that's a real niche market, no?
Pajama boy, we're not all sipping lattes on our couch waiting for Obamacare to come knocking at our doors. So, you know, a misunderstanding for sure.
But having said all of this, you know, when election time comes around, maybe we'll start to see it materialize, but we haven't seen anything with respect to libertarians necessarily benefiting from the fact that young people identify with them, whether they're ready to acknowledge it or not.
Well, I think in 2008, the real buried story was not so much millennials coming out for Obama, but the fuel that Ron Paul started to gain. And a little-known fact that I love, Karl Rove consistently points out and is so accurate, is that, you know, there's this myth that millennials just showed up and voted for Obama, which certainly they did. But in 2008 to 2012, he lost 1.5 million millennials, lost them. Romney, however, gained 1.1 million from the McCain days. So it's a complete myth that we just, you know, lockstep vote Democrat. So it's up to libertarians to pull people in. So,
but before I let you go, libertarians on the larger tickets, particularly, you know, the midterms and, of course, the presidential election, they probably won't have their own line. Does the GOP have to accept the libertarian line of thinking more than they have so far?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Both sides need to come together. You know, there's no room for a libertarian line right now. We live in a two-party system. So it's up to libertarians like Rand Paul and Ron Paul to bring people into the Republican movement, and Republicans to, you know, be amenable to libertarian views. The Republican Party needs to be a Big Ten, and we can't isolate people, that's for sure.
I tell you what, there's still so much infighting there. We'll see what happens. Hey, we love when you bring us this knowledge. You're fantastic. And, of course, we always love to be able to get a glimpse of Miami in the background, too. Thanks a lot, Kayleigh.
Thank you, Charles.
All right, talk to you again soon. Next week.